Hello, everyone. If you've ever stared at a blank page, just completely stumped, feeling like academic writing is some kind of secret code, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to completely reframe how you think about it. We're going to move beyond writing for a grade and start thinking of it as your official invitation, your ticket, to join the most fascinating conversation in your field.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to ditch the idea of the generic essay. Then, we'll get into the unwritten rules of genre and discipline. After that, the big one. We'll reimagine writing as a conversation. Then, I'll show you a key move. They say, I say. And finally, we'll talk about how all of this helps you find your own academic voice.
All right, let's get right into it. The first thing we need to tackle is the biggest, most common misconception I see, and it's one that really holds students back. It's the assumption that every single piece of academic writing is basically the same thing.
I mean, really think about that for a second. When your professor hands you a new assignment, what's your first instinct? Do you immediately start thinking about an intro, 3-body paragraphs, and a conclusion, that old 5-paragraph model? Hey, you're not alone if you do, but it's a habit that we are absolutely going to break today.
And here's exactly why. I call this the essay style trap. When you try to apply that one style to everything, a lab report, a book review, a case study, it's like having a whole toolbox but only ever using the hammer. It's just not the right tool for most jobs. And what's worse, it doesn't just feel awkward, it actually undermines your argument and makes you seem less credible.
So, if a one-size-fits-all approach is out, what's the alternative? Well, you have to realize that academia isn't just one game. It's more like an entire arcade filled with different games, and each one has its own rules, its own objectives, and its own way to win.
And the key to figuring out the rules is understanding genre. Now, don't let that word intimidate you. All it really means is a contract between you and your reader. It sets expectations. When someone picks up a movie review, they expect an opinion. When they pick up a lab report, they expect data and methodology. Honoring that contract is how you build trust with your reader.
And I mean, just look at the variety here. Every single one of these has a totally different goal. An argumentative essay is designed to persuade. A literature review is meant to synthesize what's already been said. You just can't use the same approach for all of these. It wouldn't make any sense.
And to make it even more interesting, the rules also change depending on your major, your discipline. A historian proves their point by carefully interpreting a primary source, like an old letter. A biologist proves their point with empirical data from a controlled experiment. They're both making arguments, but the evidence they use is completely different.
Now, this brings us to the core idea, the one concept that, if you get it, will change everything about how you approach your work. We need to stop thinking of writing as a task and start seeing it as an act of participation.
This is the big mental shift right here. When you write a paper, you are not shouting into a void. I want you to imagine you are walking into a room, a party that's already in full swing. A conversation's been going on about your topic for years, maybe even centuries. Your first job isn't to start talking, it's to listen.
So if the genre is the form your communication takes, then the discourse is the conversation itself. It's the collection of big ideas, the major debates, the questions everyone in your field is trying to answer. If your paper ignores that conversation, it doesn't matter how well it's written, it's going to feel irrelevant. This really is the heart of it all. You're shifting from giving a monologue to taking part in a dialogue. Your job isn't just to list a bunch of facts. It's to respond to what others have said, to agree, to disagree, to add a new perspective. That's how your work becomes meaningful. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. This sounds great, Professor, but how do I actually do that? How do I jump into this big, intimidating conversation? Well, you're in luck, because there is a brilliantly simple and incredibly effective framework to help you do just that. It's called the they say, I say model. It's a simple 2-step. You always start with the they say. This is you, showing you've been listening. You summarize what the existing conversation is. Here's what scholars have been debating. And only after you've done that do you make your move, the I say. This is where you offer your unique contribution as a direct response to that conversation. And this little framework is pure gold. Why? Because, first, it makes it impossible to write in that dreaded intellectual vacuum. Second, it stops you from just dropping random opinions. Your argument is automatically grounded in what the field is talking about. This is how you build authority and give your writing a clear sense of purpose. You know, when you start putting all these pieces together, you understand the genre, you're listening to the discourse, you're making your move, something really amazing starts to happen. You stop just being a student who completes assignments. You start to become a scholar who contributes ideas. This is how you find your academic voice. And please, hear this. It has nothing to do with using bigger words or more complicated sentences. Your academic voice is the sound of your own credibility. It's that clear, authoritative persona that you earn by showing you understand the conversation and you have something valuable to add to it. I mean, look at the difference. Without this understanding, writing can feel like a disconnected list of facts. It's just descriptive. But when you join the conversation, your writing becomes analytical. It becomes authoritative. You're no longer just reporting on what other people know. You are actively contributing to what your field knows. It's a total transformation. So the next time you sit down to write, don't look at it as an assignment. Look at it as an invitation to take part in a dynamic, important conversation that's shaping the very future of your field. You're at the door, and you've been invited in. So the only question left is, what will you contribute?